Rosselli Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Rosselli Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. Paul Russo here with you, Nick Felice as well. When we last left off, we had to meander because of a tornado.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Luckily, that should not be the case today. But, yeah, certainly been an interesting couple weeks weather-wise in New York. It's midsummer. Not a ton to talk about, really. So we get to really, though, go into our favorite things today, Nick. The Olympics and Big Brother.
Yeah, that's two good things.
But
Maybe not favorites, but
well, two of our favorites.
I'm a big fan of both. Yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that stuff today. You brought up a good point. I think we'll talk about it too. Why not? A little F1 question, if you will.
Brought up before the show.
You brought up. So we'll do that. But quick, first thing, our sponsors like Rosselli Northern, they saw the jump, as well as Dr. Littlejohn and Dr. Barbie Orthodontics. And their outstanding orthodontic team share a common goal to ensure the overall wellness of each of their patients through their exceptional orthodontic care. You can check them out online at littlejohnortho.com. As well as the Auburn Auto Group. When it comes to selection and service after sale, Auburn Auto Group has been the premier destination for new and used car buyers for close to 40 years. Among the brands offered on Route 5 in Auburn include Chevy, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Honda, Toyota, and Subaru. Thanks to that wide range of selection of makes and models, you're sure to find your new or used car at Auburn Auto Group. So before we get to the Olympics, or I guess Big Brother, Nick, you did bring up a good point here pre-show. Why not spend a minute? This is the beauty of these shows sometimes, is we have the ability to do this. But Sunday morning, rare treat. I didn't have baseball. Weird Sunday bye baseball. I think it's the first one.
No baseball tonight either.
First one I've had since, I think, probably the COVID 2020 year. Really weird. But yeah, no, nothing tonight, but that's beside the point. So I was at basketball, played pickup for the first time with my Sunday morning crew for the first time in a couple months. And I'm following the F1 race a little bit, obviously away from the screen. And you brought up a really good point here before we went live. So credit to you racing savant, Nick. But McLaren had some, not mischievous, because you can do it in F1, but we'll call it eyebrow-raising.
Why don't you explain?
Eyebrow-raising things, though, that if you aren't a really close follower of F1, you probably didn't see. Little team orders happening with swapping of Lando Norris in the lead for Oscar Piastri, his teammate, in second for the win. Piastri was leading from pretty much the jump till about a pit stop halfway through, and they end up getting flipped. And McLaren, although you can't technically call them team ordered Lando to swap positions and the win for his teammate Oscar Piastri. And that caught you, Nick, a very novice F1 watcher, a bit off guard, clearly, on Sunday.
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope everyone's doing well after the tornadoes. That was some scary times.
Yeah.
And second off, nice matching there.
Thank you.
You got the hat and the shirt.
Yes.
So, just wanted to point this out. And but to your F1 point,
It was your F1 point.
going off my F1 point, I get it in the long scheme of thing. The point is, these manufacturers, they want to win, they want to be the best, and they want their best driver winning the race. I get that, I understand that, because those points matter at the end of the day. And they know this better driver. I forget what's the name. Who's the guy who was in second, ended up winning?
Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, that guy. Yes, he's their best shot at winning the overall title because he's their number one driver.
Well, I thought Lando was ahead in points.
Could be. I've heard it is Lando. It's kind of surprising that it happened to him this way.
Right. Yeah, Lando's the one ahead of points.
See, I've actually heard of him, and I haven't really heard of the other guy. And But they want their best and their number one driver. So he's their number one driver. Lando's their number two, even though he's ahead in points. But they want their number one driver because they think he's going to have the best shot at giving them the overall championship. So they want him getting the points when they can get them. And which sucks, because at the end of the day, are we not racing to win, or are we just racing for your owners?
Exactly.
It's just crazy because everybody wants to win races, and he gave up a race. Yeah, technically they're teammates, but this is an individual sport at the end of the day. And it's like in LIV golf. Someone going to just drop a bogey?
I don't mean to interrupt. You might be the first person I've heard in the, 3 years now, right, because they're in their third season, call it LIV golf since its inception. I've heard nobody call it LIV. It's live.
It's LIV.
All right. Back to you.
Well, it stands for 54 because 54 holes, and that's LIV. Yeah. Say DeChambeau and Koepka are teammates. I don't think they're on the same team. Don't follow that sport much, or that league. I do follow the sport, not that league. But say they're teammates. What is because say Koepka's the number one golfer on the team. DeChambeau just gonna bogey the 18th, give it to Koepka, so the LIV team, whatever, has a better shot at winning the championship? I don't think so. Actually, they probably would. But that's just how the sport is not run. I'm
just confused on the whole live thing now.
You should go for the win. Not saying, F your teammates, but come on. Go for the win.
Yeah, I don't want to bore people with the racing stuff here, but I'll go into nerd corner for a moment. Darrell Waltrip in NASCAR coined the term coopetition, a combination of cooperation and competition, because you do have teammates, but like you said, Nick, racing, obviously, whether it's, like running or in this situation, motorsport, yeah, you do have teammates, but it's inherently, a 1v1v1v. You're competing for yourself at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, this isn't the first, like I mentioned, F1's notorious with it. You do get quasi-team orders in NASCAR, but nothing when it comes to, the win and stuff like that. Like, you see it at, Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, your drafting tracks, right, where, it's recommended you work with your teammates more exclusively than your non-teammates. But, yeah, when it comes to the actual win, you don't see that in NASCAR.
Imagine having Lando Norris money line.
Yeah, you don't see that in IndyCar. Or Piastri money line. Good day for the non-Max Verstappen bettors out there. So, but yeah, it's interesting. It ended up being, and the part that sucks is this is, Oscar does have one other F1 win to this point in one of the sprint races, but, for all intents and purposes, this is his first career F1 win. And the fact that it's been marred by this, and I think the fact, I don't mean this as a slight to you, Nick, in this situation, but the fact that you are talking about it in just general discussion is pretty telling about the issue that it brings up,
And I could be wrong, but I think the manufacturer competition is so much bigger than F1 it is in NASCAR. Is that correct? Does Ford and Chevy go at each other?
It's a little bit different, but yeah, I mean NASCAR. I would say it's arguably, well, it's tough because in F1 there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 4. Well, wait. Hold on. I need to do a quick count here. Alpine, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, Honda. Aston gets theirs from there.
And how much?
Yeah, I mean, until next year, there's only technically 4 engine manufacturers in F1.
How much are you wagering?
I'm not wagering anything. But in F1, they call it the constructor's title. Well, that's for, say, where it's each team, where it's the 10 teams. So I would say maybe it gets a little bit bigger than, say, the NASCAR, where it's there's no team. Like NASCAR, they call it the Owners' Championship, which is just the car number championship. not the driver championship. I think that's the closest comparison. In NASCAR, the manufacturer stuff is pretty big. I mean, they take it serious. Ford for a while had a very big thing on those plate tracks.
But there's all different Ford teams.
Correct, but they tell them, like at Daytona Talladega, like you are working together, type thing.
The Fords or the teams?
The manufacturers, like Ford, will tell that to all their Ford teams, right? Like your Penske's, SHR, RFKs. Chevy does the same thing. Hendrick, RCR, Spire, Trackhouse. Same with Toyota. Gibbs. Now Legacy with 2311 and stuff like that. So, yeah, but like I said, like at the end of the day, when it comes down to that last lap, that's out the window. They know that it's one driver only. Either way.
Who is your favorite F1 driver, by the way?
I would probably say Lewis, but like, I don't really. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I'm kind of falling out with F1 right now, just because.
You'd rather go IndyCar?
I don't even know about
I
that.
feel like IndyCar's faded a little bit.
Yeah,
I haven't heard much about it lately.
Indy's tough right now because the fan base for Indy is really toxic at the moment, in my mind. The diehards, yeah. But either way, I mean, I like Lewis. F1, I have a pretty big.
Have you seen the F1 show on Netflix?
Oh yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, I recommend watching it if you haven't. Let's stick with that international flair though, Nick.
Yes.
The Olympics technically started today here on Wednesday. Opening ceremony is Friday. But I guess it would be, Saturday there? I don't know, either way.
No, you're right. It's Friday.
Is it Friday there too at that point? All right, either way.
Friday afternoon for us, Friday night for them.
Paris, France. Also certain sports by way of the Atlantic Ocean in the tropics. Welcome to territories. Anyway, though, first true, not true. It's not like the other ones weren't true Olympics, but first non-COVID affected Olympic Games since the winter of 2018. So it's weird. I am excited. I want to save maybe that portion of it here for a talking point I want to bring up to you in a couple minutes. But, this Olympic has been pretty marketed heavy for, it feels like longer than normal. Like, it feels like over a year people were really kind of hammering this Olympics home. I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, 2020 was in 2021, and the Winter Olympics of 22 weren't, they were, like I said, true Olympics, but, you still had the lingering background of the pandemic kind of lingering still at that point. Now it's, none of those reservations really. We're back to talking about cardboard beds and not cardboard masks, in that sense. So, like I said, it's good to have it back, and it just feels like they've been kind of hammering it, like I said, for pretty much a calendar year that they're coming, and now it's here.
Yeah, counted them yesterday. There are 45 different sports in this year's Olympics, and then all the events that come with it. Track and field is not called track and field. It's called athletics, in case you're wondering. If you're looking up for it, you're like wondering, where's track and field? It's actually called athletics. And there's tons of events, obviously, in there. A little disappointing, no softball. Softball.
Yeah, but they'll be back for 2028 when it's here in America.
A little intrigued by the breakdancing sport. Obviously, I like all these, is ESPN Ocho still a thing?
Yeah, are you talking about,
all the unique sports?
When they do that, the once-a-year thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically, yeah, but, I don't know, not to get off topic with that, but, they put cornhole on now, every day.
The point is, I like these interesting, different type of sports that you're not usually used to, and and you get into them, and yes, this is for these people who grew up playing these sports and have dreamed to be Olympians. This is their whole life that they've waited for.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you only get one Olympics. You have to be special to get multiple Olympics to keep qualifying. So this is a big time, and for these events and these sports. And I was watching a little bit of the rugby and soccer today, men's rugby and soccer.
Yeah, you were telling me off air, and I'll let you kind of finish here, but they've kind of tweaked the rugby rules for the Olympics, right?
Yeah, so it's called Rugby 7-1. Still can't understand rugby. Not sure what the heck's going on in that sport, but the games are only, or matches, not sure what they're calling them. They're only a half
I
hour.
think it's a match, right? Rugby match.
I feel like it's match.
Yeah.
That sounds
Because
better.
they play it on a pitch,
Yes.
like soccer.
Very similar to soccer. Soccer,
In that sense.
it's like soccer and football put together, basically. And so they're half an hour intervals. USA plays. They're playing right now. Against a very good Fiji team.
Mm.
Rugby is really quick, by the way. The medal, it all ends on Saturday. All the group play is today and tomorrow. There's even like constellation games tomorrow because teams can play twice in one day. And so USA played the host country, France, to this afternoon, tied 12-12. And in rugby, if you tie, you get 2 points. You lose, you get 1 point. And if you win, you get 3 points.
Crikey.
And their group is France, Fiji, who they're playing right now. I'm looking up the score. Oh,
Not looking good.
down 33-5.
Don't know what that fully means, but that doesn't sound great.
No, we tied 12-12 with France.
Oui.
So Fiji is a powerhouse, and
That's true.
France beat Uruguay 19-12. So it's going to come down to tiebreakers between us and France, depending on how we do against Uruguay tomorrow. Because France will probably lose to Fiji. So I don't know how tiebreakers are going to work. And then there's quarterfinals. I think you get another game, but anyway, that's rugby. That's men's rugby. Some other sports get going tomorrow. I think women's handball. If you're not up at 3 a.m. for women's handball tomorrow, you don't know what you're doing. And but Friday, a little bit of shooting practice, and that's it. It's just the ceremonies on Friday, and then it really gets going on Saturday.
Yeah.
All the sports start getting going. Track and field, or my mistake, athletics does not start until a little bit next weekend, I think it is.
Yeah.
Swimming gets going first. There is a little bit where swimming and track and field is going on at the same time. But yeah, look up the schedule. Next weekend is men's golf. The weekend after is women's golf. Just a 4-day tournament, basically. Got some interesting names in there. USA men's, only one to have 4 golfers in it, which is kind of surprising. And also really surprising that Shamble didn't make it. And Wyndham Clark did.
Yeah, I recommend one of our sister-ish podcasts, I would call it, but Out of Bounds talked about that a little bit. So, yeah, it's weird. Wyndham Clark in there is kind of an interesting one to me personally, I think, as well as like Josh and Nate over there. Really, I don't want to be that guy with it, but it'd be like kind of like sending over where it's like, oh, cool, we were sending LeBron and Kevin Durant and I guess the third person for that 3-on-3 might as well just be Jimmer Fredette, kind of type thing. That's interesting. So I kind of inadvertently kind of steered that in that direction, but obviously I know you mentioned swimming, track and field. Those have been pretty popularized within the past, I guess, 15 or so. We'll go with the Olympic terms, 16 or so years of competition. Shout out to Michael Phelps. But and Usain Bolt for the track and field stuff. But
100 meters still one of the best.
yeah, but I mean the basketball stuff's interesting this year because I still expect the U.S. to win gold. I don't think it's going to be easy. I mean, this is something that we've talked about amongst ourselves, and I think it deserves to have the public light. But like, this isn't exactly a very it's a strong team. I don't know if strong, not calling it strong is the right term, but like, I'm not as confident in them just getting going as I have been in the past. I think luckily in our lifetimes, right, we've had 96, which obviously we were alive, but we don't remember, right? With, Dream Team 2.0, and obviously the 2000 games were great too, but I do remember as a 10-year-old the 04 games being a flop for obviously the U.S. and obviously the Redeem Team in 08 comes back thundering, and since then it's kind of been that case, right? I mean, it's kind of weird putting it like this, but like the 2020 Olympics, I don't recall watching a ton of it because I just didn't care enough, but like I feel like I care enough about it in this sense. with the basketball because, like, just globally, I feel like this is a stronger, field. Whether or not that fully pans out, I don't know. But like, the U.S. basketball team just on the men's side does not give me a lot of confidence.
No, and
You
they haven't even played France, who I think is their biggest threat. They got some really good players on that team with Wemby and Gobert, and obviously my two favorites, Evan Fournier and Frank Ntilikina. And then you got
I mean,
Batum.
I always worry about Spain, just because they always end up. They are
South Sudan team.
Yeah,
They look really good for not having any NBA players really on that team. A couple G Leaguers.
winning Gabriel.
And Germany played them tough. If you're wondering, men's basketball, all of it gets going on Saturday. U.S. men's play on Sunday at 11:15 a.m. against Serbia, and the women play on Monday, and they'll flip-flop basically. If you're wondering,
I think that Serbia game is going to expose my biggest issue I have with this American team. Well, one of two biggest issues, right? Size. They don't have
South Sudan had size.
They don't have a big guy, and obviously Serbia, we know who lingers in the.
That's why I like France, because they have size with Wemby and Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
But first medal is going to be handed out at 5 a.m. Saturday morning right away. Let's give a medal out.
Yep.
To women's synchronized 3 meter springboard final.
Gymnastics, it sounds like, or
diving.
I lied. I apologize.
And the next one will be at 8:30 Saturday. Women's individual time for cycling road cycling. Got a bunch of medals handed out on Saturday. Medals every day. I recommend getting the Olympics app. Or go on Olympics.com or whatever it's called. And
go on Olympics.com or whatever it's called.
Hey, you guys all have Google. You know how to get there. They can break it all down for you when the medals are going to happen.
Oh my god! I'm sorry. It's just the way you phrased it. Like, just go to Olympics.com or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. It might be on NBC.com, but yeah, you'll find it.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Snap back to reality here, I guess.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
3 Olympic sports that you enjoy in the summer.
Baseball, which isn't here anymore, so
Take another 3.
I mean, basketball, I feel like is just kind of inadvertent there. So basketball, it's weird. I've always liked the cycling. I don't know if it's just like whatever, but I've always liked the cycling. It's the same for in essence the winter. Like, I can't explain it, but like the speed skating, I've loved too. Like,
that's cool.
So
those these people who just did the Tour de France go right into the Olympics. Jeez.
Well, I was going to ask you about that as well here in a quick second. Once we get to the other side of this, I think third. I don't have anything specific, but like you mentioned the 100-meter for like track and field. That stuff's always crazy because like you never know what can happen. So I would say like maybe like kind of like that and swimming, kind of together in a way. I don't know. I think that involves like really close stuff like that. I kind of enjoy. But you mentioned going right into like the riders who are in the Tour de France who literally just wrapped up 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Going right in. I didn't want to bring this up. I completely forgot about that. I wanted to talk about from like the tennis element of it, for example. Like,
I know
there are some people who are playing in the Olympics, and others who got excluded. You're coming off of Wimbledon, which now is a couple weeks will be a couple weeks in the rearview mirror once this weekend happens. But I for what it's worth, like I bet tennis every now and then. And like there are just tournaments happening still as we're speaking that aren't Olympic. It's WTA and WTP events and stuff like that.
Don't take any breaks.
It's crazy. Like I like how do some of these people even like handle it? Like it's kind of nuts to think about.
Tennis would be kind of cool. Annie Murray's retiring after.
So I also have another thing with that. We knew about that before yesterday, right? Because
I knew it was last Wimbledon.
Okay, so here's my thing with it. I had a moment when ESPN did that, and I texted my one friend John, you know John, And I'm like, we knew about that, right? And he goes like, yeah, like, like what's going on here with ESPN? So like, yeah, it was almost like moments where I'm like, I'm not having like a deja vu thing here, right?
Yeah, I didn't know when he was retiring. That could, I mean, they might have announced it
Should
before,
have
but
retired like 3 years ago.
yeah, he's been crap.
Yeah,
But that's cool.
nice to him.
He gets one. I would have thought he would have gone out in Wimbledon, but like he had a good ending there.
I think
Lost first round doubles, but
I don't think if it wasn't for the Olympics being right on the heels and just kind of representing Great Britain one more time type thing,
yeah.
I don't think he would have. I think it would have been it, but I think it's kind of hard to say no to the Olympics.
I do recommend that
It's
Roger.
hard. It's hard to say no to the Olympics if you're qualified.
I do
what I
recommend that
mean?
Roger Federer documentary.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I like the one with Andy Sandberg.
Oh, that's the best. Later tennis. But my 3 favorite Olympic sports. I love handball. Big handball guy.
I forgot about handball. Yeah,
I'm gonna go out there.
I like volleyball too. By
obviously,
the way.
obviously, basketball and them are good, but beach volleyball is not bad.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's in my top 3. I do like swimming. I like the swimming. And another odd one. I kind of like fencing.
Okay.
Fencing's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a strategy, going back and forth.
Ha ha.
But
What about surfing this year?
sure, surfing's in it. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I do like the cycling. I like them all, but check out the 1500 meter in women's. A girl from Binghamton area, Endicott. Her grandparents live on Cuca Lake. Emily McKay.
There's another local from Schuyler County, yeah, who's in one of the, I believe it's rowing competitions. I can't remember which one. I want to say maybe 600 something or something. I don't know.
I have to look that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of local, Binghamton, in the 1500 meter. She did pretty good. Emily McKay. Yeah, should be cool. Rowing.
So before we move on to Big Brother here, the one question I wanted to ask you, because I kind of been dealing with this the past couple days for me. Do you care about the Olympics still the way that you used to? Because for me, I realized this in the past couple days. I'm not making it like must-watch really television anymore, the way that it felt like when I was like younger, in a way. I don't know if it's also like time zone issues here in a way. Now, France is a little bit better than obviously like
Russia.
go back to like the summer stuff a few years ago in Japan, where it was like
Tokyo, yeah.
might as well have been I think it was 12 to 15 hour difference, whatever it is. Having a 5-6 hour difference is a little bit different, but I just like I don't know, it's weird. Like I just don't feel, I guess, as connected anymore to it, and it's like, meh, yeah. I mean, I'll watch stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not gonna. It's not like I won't be watching.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of an afterthought to me sometimes, in a way now.
Yeah, the time difference could be a thing. It's only the first day. It's technically, if you want to go college football terms, this is week 0. It really hasn't officially hasn't really started, but just sprinkling a couple sports in before. Maybe you'll get into it next week. Who knows?
Right.
Well,
I mean, like I said, right?
Sit down and watch some wrestling.
Well, like I said, it's not like I'm not gonna be I'm gonna be watching it, but it's like I just remember like specifically 2012, like it felt like I was all in, and like I don't know what it is now, but it's like I'm just like meh,
Equestrian's losing the big names.
One of them might be part of it too, is like just kind of like having this like more or less unlimited access to just sports now, everything in a way that even like in 2012 didn't really fully exist.
No.
In a sense, like I don't know, but like I don't know. It's really weird. Like I feel like some of the stuff like I got like I got sick of basketball pretty quick this year after college basketball wrapped up in a way, and I don't know. And there's still like people are still trying to make, and I know like I keep bringing up basketball, but it's like those are the bigger talking sports at this point
judo,
with this
yeah.
Olympics. Well, you'll see where I'm going with this though. But like we're still getting this whole entire like, well, Caitlin Clark should be on the USA team and Bronny James should be with LeBron. Like make it stop. Like I just want
You
to.
gotta wait for the game.
I just want to like I think that's part of it. It's like I just want to enjoy it. Like shut up and let me enjoy it. Like type thing. I don't know. That's just the way it kind of feels.
Maybe you'll enjoy it.
No, I mean I'm going to. It's not a matter of me not anymore. Like I still enjoy it, but like it just doesn't. Something about it now just feels different to me, and I just don't know if that's just a me thing, or as we kind of get like older in a sense. Like I don't know, but like it just doesn't feel like it carries that weight anymore for me. Where it's like I have to be watching, you know. I don't know.
We'll see.
Speaking of, we'll see. We finally had some.
First.
Well, we finally have some answers here. Big Brother 26 premiered last week. We're pretty much a weekend, you know. Obviously, you know, if people don't know, Big Brother 26th season this summer. And some new twists this year that we'll get into really more so in a second, only because there's some stuff to get to, right? But, you know, stylistically, it's still the same format, you know, HOH competition televised-wise on Sunday, veto on Wednesday, eviction on Thursday.
Yes.
Everything from the viewership standpoint
Is the same.
pretty much the same thing. You know, gameplay-wise, we're it's a mixed bag of new and old, right? We're back to a little bit more of a quote-unquote traditional cast and traditional time frame, right? You know, we're back to only 16 house guests this season as opposed to 17 last year, and I guess it was 16 the summer before, but they just had stuff kind of dragged out a little bit more. We're back to underneath 100 days in the house. We're you know back underneath that mark now for the first time in a few years. But that's kind of where that stuff ends for the moment. I guess outside of HOH is still the HOH in essence, right? You know, we'll get to more on that in a second, but you know, seeing the cast, I guess a couple weeks ago when they got released, and now that we've seen the intros, I like it. It's a. I don't know if it was like a make or break season of sort for me, but like at least the early indications, like okay, a little bit of a breath of fresh air. Doesn't seem like we have true carbon copies from the season before. People are trying to chase previous contestants on the show, right? Everybody's
Unique.
differently unique this year. And I think, you know, maybe CBS finally saw through, like, okay, might want to switch it up a little bit here before, you know, people really start tuning off, because the past couple of years have been rough for them. And I don't know, I kind of at least like the early season at face value stuff at the moment with this cast of contestants. So, you know, those initial thoughts were kind of mine before we get into the other stuff. What were your initial thoughts when you see the cast, you see the 16 people going for the $750,000?
Yeah, I mean, when you initially see them, you look at 16, you're like, oh, man, these guys look interesting. But then you get to know them, and you see some similarities with some of the other players that have played before, and you're like, right, this person's just going to be a McCall.
Hard not to, but yes, yeah.
This person's just going to be McCall and sit around all day, and this person's going to be a Cliff and might actually be a sneaky good player. This person's going to be I mean, there's all different comparisons, I guess. I could keep going on and on, but yeah, it's intriguing. I mean, the twist so far, I think the powers and the punishments were pretty decent. There was 2 powers and 2 punishments.
Well, let's get into that before you get fully in, right? So, let's preface this with this. Do we believe what we see is going to be for the full season? And what I mean by that is not only off the bat do we have 2 contestants on the eviction block, you're going 3 initially. And what I mean by initially is there's going to be 3 announced on that Sunday episode with the HOH comp. There's going to be 3 of them participating in the veto comp. And then all 3 on the Thursday, the eviction episode, which they haven't said explicitly whether the competition for it will be live or not live. But those 3 people up for eviction will be participating in a competition to take themselves off the block and be safe for that night.
And it's not another veto. There is no replacement after
Correct.
this challenge. You could only, at the end of the day, you can only vote for 2 people to get evicted when it's all said and done. You evict for 2 people. It will only be 2 options when it's all said and done. There's still the veto. There's still backdooring, but they're getting rid of the backdooring. Like,
Kinda. It's weird.
they'll have another chance to save themselves with this AI challenge, which the Ainsley twist, not a big fan of. That was boring. It was kind of obvious.
I liked it in theory until they did the execution, and it's like, oh, God.
Pretty boring.
Yeah.
What happens if they voted that computer or whatever?
That's my thing with it, is like, did they have a full game plan here for what happens if they did vote this
Would the whole
the
season be
17th
different?
contestant in? Right. Like, they had to have known that, like, it was going to be some sort of majority no, right?
Yeah,
They
seriously.
had to have known.
Because the whole point is to get people out of the house. Why would you want someone else in?
Yeah.
Anyway, but that twist. But the AI challenge twist or the competition twist is interesting.
What do they call it, like AI Arena or something?
AI arenas.
Yeah.
First, we have to see it play out. We have not seen 1 week of it.
Yeah.
Don't know how it's going to play out.
I mean, that's, yeah.
And I think they're doing it because of like the Heisms and the Camerons that we saw last season getting backdoor and having no shot at all to save themselves. This gives them one last chance to save themselves. And you're thinking, well, what's the point of a backdoor now? Well, the backdoor, I mean, this week we saw Kenny, Chemo, and Lisa go up on the block as the first nominees. That's all we know right now. Kenny at least has 2 shots to save himself, while there's another player named Matt who's,
Dug his own grave.
very easily could be put up at any point.
He made his own bed
And
at this point.
right now he's not guaranteed to play in the veto.
Right.
And he's only, at best, maybe have that AI arena competition. That's the only way that could save him. At least Kenny now has 2 shots to save himself because Angela, the HOH, has come out and said that Kenny is her target. Don't know why she didn't tell Chemo and Lisa that they were pawns. But
I'm not convinced that the Lisa one is not a is a pawn in that sense.
and this is what my brother Matt was saying. He's like, even if Kenny is your target, tell him he's a pawn.
Yeah.
Make him not as nervous.
I think it's just week 1 being week 1 that, like, you aren't going to have people saying one way or another in that sense. It's just easy the way, like, she said it Sunday. We just haven't talked enough game yet. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
What it's going to do is, like Heisem last season when he got backdoored and he was like, oh, my God, am I going home now? Now he has a competition to save himself. And imagine if he wins that competition, he's going to be coming into anger back into this game. And what's going to create is drama on eviction night. Eviction nights have been getting a little bit boring. They're obvious votes.
That was, I think, and for, I think, like, me, you, Matt, Pat to the lesser degree, but he's now back in for at least the start of the season. We weren't so much complaining about, but I know one of the biggest majority complaints was the fact that Thursdays has gotten stale.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing to eviction night anymore.
And the players are going to adjust. They're going to have, okay, this is plan A, and this is plan B. If that plan A person wins the competition, saves himself. They're going to have that. They're going to have a plan A and plan B. But to have majority of the house on this, oh, maybe I don't want that to be the plan B, or I don't want that to be the plan A. I want that plan B to be the plan C. There's going to be live talking like it's a double eviction night after the comp's over, I feel like.
I hope. That's my hope, but that's why I brought up the way I brought it up initially was the fact that we don't know if it's actually, like, competition-wise.
I hope it's
actually live or not. They didn't explicitly say it.
I hope it's live.
Same, but, like, they didn't explicitly say it to the point that, like, whatever. It's a lot like when they would do and they do it like once every now and then. I know each season has at least one or two of these where they won't show necessarily the veto result initially off the bat Wednesday night if somebody used it or not. Not so much that who won the veto comp, but like whether or not it was actually used.
Veto meeting.
And they'll show the initial two people up on the block when they open Thursday.
Yeah.
And then show obviously after the fact. That's my main worry, is that it's going to be more like that than it is actually what I think collectively we all want, is that drama that you're bringing up.
Live.
I'm not convinced that they aren't going to do that just because they didn't say one way or another when it was brought up on it was last Thursday's episode. So I'm cautiously optimistic with that.
I would love to see it be live because that'd be cool. Because in Survivor, when they have live tribal councils, when like someone's like, "Yeah, I'm not going home. I have a hidden immunity idol, so you got to come up with a big plan."
No.
People start talking, like they get up from their seat and start talking at tribal council, and that's what makes.
No, and I'm not a big Survivor guy. I think I've watched one half season with you guys.
Season 33, baby.
And but like one of my favorite clips from like this version of reality TV comes from Survivor, like literally where this guy literally pulls out like he knew he was going home more or less. I think it was when they were doing like the split team stuff.
Yeah.
At the time, and it was like, I know everybody's voting me out, but here you go, Jeff. Here's a immunity idol. And
Yeah, I'm not going home.
The look on the other team's face was just
And they got scrambled.
tremendous,
And that's what they want. They want, say Kenny, I don't know how this week plays out, but as of right now, Kenny's the target. Say Kenny remains on the block, he wins that competition. Then who's going?
Right.
People are going to be scrambling.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're going to have a plan B, but is everybody going to agree that plan B?
Right.
People might want the plan C to go home.
Especially the early indications with this group right now is like there's no major packs forming at the moment.
No.
Seems like there's
Smaller.
You have smaller groups, 3, 4, maybe 5 at most, and I think the 5 might be really generous the way I'm going with it. That's not giving away anything.
We got the BB Gun Alliance.
Well, but it's a lot of these weird kind of like tandem meets, maybe triple threat, quote unquote, not threat in that, triple threat in that sense, but alliances where it's just like you bring up the fact that like I don't think there's just going to be a mass wave. I think it's going to be inherently chaos. Like there is an element at the very least with this in play, whether live or not, that fully brings it back on what is best for my game at that time. And I give some kudos there because look, especially last season was the worst of it. That this will be my 6th season, but the 5 seasons watching before where it was just like the the 2 or 3 previous, there was just a ton of like just following the leader going on. The first season I watched in 20, there wasn't a ton of it. I think, there was certain weeks it depended upon, did you really want to really rock the boat in that sense, or because season 20, there was a lot of just drama kind of inadvertently happening anyway that I understood why probably you didn't want to necessarily be the stray 1 or 2 voting in that sense, because it'd be easier to sniff you out. But at least in season 20, you had a lot of people going like trying to go against the grain. Can't really say that for 25. You definitely couldn't say it for 25. You couldn't really say it for 24. And I think luckily, we're kind of at least putting the ball back in the court, putting the ball back in everybody's hands. When you think about like playing like around the world, well, which point seems better for you right now? Would you rather take the 3-pointer, or would you rather just do the layup?
Yeah. It's just like Cameron. I keep going back to Cameron. It's like that week he did go home on the Bowie HOH.
Yeah.
It's like this guy has been the whole show. He's been entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
He's been the most exciting player in this game. And that's how he goes home. Is one alliance member hears a thing from Matt and Jag, and it's like, yeah, I got to backdoor you this week.
And even then, from a gameplay perspective, it made no sense at the time to me.
No, none at all.
But, yeah.
Bowie was just going for 3rd place.
Yeah.
And that's what she got.
Yeah.
And it's just like, really? I mean, the Big Brother producers got to be like, oh, this is bombing. This guy's been our whole show. He got fan favorite. And this is how he goes out. I don't even like to think about that week at all. The one that officially knocked him out. And
It's kind of interesting this week too because like we didn't talk about it all, but this opening week we've had two people who can't compete in anything.
Yeah. Luckily, they can
because of-
compete in
because
the
of-
AI channel.
Right, because of a punishment. But like, when you think about like this shows probably how good the first week's been, that we haven't really brought the fact up. There's just two people that's kind of in the house, more or less. They can't do anything, and that's pretty much
And
that's it.
I mean, they probably want to work with Angela, but they sucked up to Angela to keep themselves safe this week.
Right.
They're in
Well,
alliance with her right
I don't.
now.
I don't know. I don't know if that part would have mattered very clearly here, based on what we've seen. So,
Yeah. I'm
but
intrigued to see how Angela versus Matt plays out.
yeah, I early. What's your early kind of indicate? We have all 16 still. Do you have like a one that you think you could see getting to the end at this point?
I like Joseph. I
Yeah.
think he did a good job hearing what Matt was talking about Angela. and-
Weirdly quiet, that boy.
yeah, and I like that he's a poker player.
Yeah.
Those are always deadly players. So he knows, and he's a big fan of the show. It's never the big jet guy.
Right.
I mean, Mickey won that one season. He was jacked, but he had to get he had a big alliance. That really helped him. That's how he got so far. But
Well, that imploded, but
yeah, and it's never the real big jet guy, or he's just like he's in between. I guess not really the geeky guy either. They always seem to go out too, but I don't know. He's just like he's a perfect type of player to be good at this game. I think he could be really good at this game. And
I think for me, I gotta go to the two people who've been at the alleged disadvantage all week, Cedric and
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Yep.
I think
people are feeling bad for him.
it's
right now.
interesting. I think, in all honesty, this punishment has set them up kind of nicely in terms of longevity in a weird way. Obviously, it can all change, in a matter of a snap in the house. But like, I like the way that they're both kind of
Yeah.
not sneakily, but like, for example, like Chelsea's done a really good job, in my mind anyway, here, early on, just kind of, I wouldn't say playing all sides, but like she's a really pretty good communicator, it seems like. And, you look at Cedric, the only one who picked up on the fact that Kenny might be lying straight through his teeth about stuff, just based on basic observation, like hide your tattoo, you idiot.
Yeah,
type thing.
and in a week where you're just trying to make friends,
Right.
people are feeling bad for him. That's
Yeah.
like the best way to make
Yeah.
friends
Yeah.
in a game right now. And
Yeah.
the whole point with Angela and Matt, two people that played hard and just two people that aren't very good players.
That's the one thing, really recently that I've noticed in my shorter time watching than you guys, is these players who play hard right off the bat like that
Are the ones-
never end up making it far.
Frenchie.
Frenchie's the one that sticks out the most, right?
I've heard people comparing Angela's HOH right now to Frenchie.
Yeah, I mean it's her saving grace though is she hasn't botched it herself yet.
Yeah.
That's her saving grace right now. She hasn't botched it herself yet.
At least she has a target right now, I guess. Frenchie just went back and forth like who was his target, and
He floated 3 different people?
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh god, buddy. Like
that was
bad.
bad. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst first OHs in the history of the show. And it's tough to be the first HOH. Depends how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the guy that everyone wants to be alliance with you right now, or the person that's causing chaos way too early, and you're gone.
Yeah.
The leash is not long for these first HOHs.
No. Or the first people through the door.
Hey, could Tucker snap
Yeah.
the curse?
Yeah, who
I like
knows?
Tucker.
We'll find out. But that'll do it for Fresh Takes for today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll see everybody in a couple weeks. Nick, shout out for today. Who you got?
Quick update, breaking news.
Oh.
Pirates beat the Cardinals 5-0. Shout out my Aunt Debbie, who's a Pirate fan. It's her birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Shout out Aunt Debbie,
29, right?
29 years old. Same age as me.
Yeah, same age as us all.
Yeah, happy birthday, Aunt Debbie. Go Bucks. Giants, she's a big Giants fan. Coming up soon here.
Go Paul
Training camp
Skeens.
just started.
Mhm.
Yeah, go Paul Skeens. Tough first loss yesterday.
Oh, it's just brutal. Just brutal.
Goes in the ninth. That
I
would be
know.
how he loses his first game.
I mean, this classic baseball. No run support, no nothing. And we give up 2 hits. Like,
That would be how he loses his first
brutal.
game.
Brutal. It's how any of us would lose our
Well, luckily
first.
they bounced back less than 24 hours later.
Nick, appreciate you. Fans, we appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Talk with everybody again in a couple weeks.